it's a Lipstick Gal. Thanks so much for watching today. I wanted to do a get ready with me where I'm just kind of doing a real easy face for summertime. It's so crazy hot here. I'm still perspiring since my shower this morning and I was using tepid water. So I can't even imagine putting too much on today. But I thought I would just see how you're doing, let you know what's going on with me while we put on some makeup. I'm going to start with my primer. This is the Silk Canvas from Tatcha. I have been trying to remind myself that priming is useful. I kind of fall out of the habit of priming, even though I know it can do so much for the skin, just because it's one more thing to do. And if I'm gonna leave out like a total like step, it's gonna be like foundation, primer, eyeliner. I'm never gonna skip blush. I'm never gonna skip eyebrows. I'm never gonna skip concealer. But priming is one of those that I frequently like, I think I'll be okay. And my makeup never lasts as long. So I was like, okay, hot day today, let's put down like just a little bit of a layer to see if it can help with longevity and my skin just won't eat my makeup instantly. I'm using the Beauty Pie SuperLuminous Genius or Under Eye Genius. I forget what it's called exactly. It's got kind of a longish name, but it's the new corrector that I've kind of been loving. I'm really surprised. I didn't think anything was going to be as beloved as my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish. I still have that. I haven't finished it up, but once I started using this and kind of seeing what it could do, and it is a little closer to my skin tone. The other one tends to be just a smidge more peach. I feel like it really makes a big difference in covering up, just lightening up my melasma on the tops of my cheeks and just hitting some of these darker spots. It doesn't completely make it go away, but it makes it less noticeable, and that's really what I want. I really have been liking the Glossier Stretch Concealer. I didn't really think this was going to be one of those products I would fall in love in. Oh, but I have. Big time, big time. I'm going to make sure there's no cat hair on here. My cat loves to walk around on top of my tabletop where I keep all of my brushes, and I'm constantly like, you know, pulling rogue cat hairs off of things, and it's frustrating, but well, that's what happens when you live with a cat. I don't know that I want to do like a full face. I want to kind of just give the impression of perfected skin. So I don't know that this is going to go everywhere. I have kind of been using it everywhere. I know it's not foundation, but I really wasn't that intrigued by the skin tint that Glossier has. It just seemed to be too sheer. And like at that point, why take all the effort to put it on, blend it in, and then like, wait, is there anything at all? And this has just enough pigment and doesn't really go anywhere that it gives me the light coverage that I want in the places that I need it, and it blends into the rest of my skin where I don't have coverage without it looking too like, here's the coverage and there's nothing here. I feel like it looks very skin-like, and I like that so much about it. I think that's all of the kind of base products I want to use today. I am going to go over all of this with a clean, damp beauty blender just to make sure it does pick up, you know, excess. I don't want to look like I'm wearing a ton of makeup. I want it to look real blended and natural, but I'm going to stay away from here. I want that coverage there. I'm going to be using the Solar Paint from Glossier today. I haven't used this that much since I got it, but I really liked it the first time I used it. So I'm going to see how it goes. This week has been kind of crazy. This was just finishing my husband's first week of working from home. He started a new job in mid-July, but he was kind of splitting time, half time between the office where he had been working and helping train the new people who were coming into his former job. And then spending some time with his new team at home in his home office. Oh my goodness. I have been struggling so hard to get the office kind of organized. We have this one room in our house. It's interesting layout. There are double French doors that lead into it. It's supposed to be like the dining room, but it's so small I can't fit my dining room table in there. My dining room table seats 10, and it's like not even a whisper of a chance. And it's a smallish room. It's kind of like a small bedroom size, but it's right smack dab in the middle of the house. I really never could figure out what to do with it, so we turned it into kind of like our catch-all or office. For many years, I would record my YouTube videos in there, but in the last couple of years, it's just kind of, and especially during the last year and a half, it has kind of turned into like, we ran out of space to put stuff in the garage, and so now we're just shoving it in there. And I was like, nobody can work in an environment like this. So I went through there and I grabbed everything out of there. It was like, you were never intended to live in here. You were never intended to live in here. So I pulled it all out, and I've been trying to find homes for it, and it's been hard. So I came across this really great YouTube video, which I will link below if you're curious about it, kind of with a woman who, and I forget her name, but she, her whole channel is just organization. And she has a lot of declutters, and she talked about a method called Swedish death cleaning. And I was like, what? And it's so extreme. But my family, we all have problems, except for my oldest daughter. We're all very sentimental. We hang on to a lot of stuff. She's like, get rid of it. And I'm like, you can't get rid of that. That was your favorite when you were little. And she's like, I don't need it anymore, Mom. So she's really good at like this whole thing of, we don't need it, we're not using it, bye-bye. She ever thinks about the sentimentality of like, what if I wanted to keep this one thing for my kids later? Anyway, neither here nor there. You see why I hang on to stuff? So my house is bursting at the seams with things that nobody's using or that we haven't used in a long time. And I don't want to live like that. So I've been trying to clean out this room. And for many years it had been our music room. And my harp was in there, our piano was in there, my husband's tuba and his bass guitar and his regular guitars and all the ukuleles and my daughter's violin. I mean, we are those people. We have a lot of hand drums. We have a lot of instruments in this house. That's just who we are. And so it went from being the music room to kind of the catch-all to the shove it in there and close the doors. And we even tinted the windows because it's the French doors were like completely sheer panes of glass. I'm like, I don't want anyone seeing this, so we put film on them so you couldn't see through. I mean, that's how bad it was. And so when it was time for my husband, like that was the only space where he could be working from home. And I was like, you know what? We need to do better. So we dragged everything out of there that didn't belong. Absolutely everything. And I had my kids help me, and we drug it all out. We vacuumed all the corners. You know, we wiped everything down that was dusty. We moved in the 2 bookcases that had been living in our living room because we're going to be doing some new flooring in the house, hopefully soon whenever it arrives. But all I could think of was, I don't want to have to move these bookcases later. It's summertime, my kids are here, my husband has some time off, let's take all the books out, move the bookcases. We put them in the other room where we know new flooring is not going. It's not going in any of the, it's just the living area. Boy, I'm rambly today. We ended up finally cleaning that room out, but then there was all this stuff all over my living room that had been perfectly pristinely clean. And when I was taking stuff out of one room and moving it to another, I was like, uh-oh. Oh no, now what do I do? So we had to start making decisions, and we were doing this last night. Our local Goodwill closes at 8 o'clock, and they accept donations up until 8 o'clock. I took them a giant sofa. I took them a bike. I took them like 5 huge 40-gallon bags full of clothes and decorative pillows and crafting things, like just stuff that had been kind of just piling up in that room, blankets that nobody was using. I was like, why am I hanging on to this stuff? And I had this huge sense of accomplishment last night. I was like, oh, look at this. And my youngest daughter, who still, I think, somewhere in her room has Valentine cards from kindergarten, and she's gonna go into 6th grade this year, was traumatized. She's like, why are you getting, we need that. I'm like, no, we don't. So I was very much empowered by this YouTube video. If I forget to link it, mention it to me in the comments and I will put it up for you, because it was great, because the woman who was doing it, she didn't seem judgmental at all. She talked about how she struggled with it. She had a real emotional moment that she caught on camera. And I was like, you know what? That's exactly what I'm struggling with. And my husband, who definitely hangs on to things longer than he needs to, he's like, that's what I needed to see. I needed to see that. Thank you so much. I made my whole family sit down and rewatch it with me so we could all kind of be on the same page. And my oldest daughter's like, I don't know why you hang on to all of this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe one day you will. But I have really decided the last year and a half, I feel like a lot of things got put on hold, as well as my desire to kind of like, and I probably once a year go through and like get rid of things in my kitchen that I know either are not working anymore or I really don't use. I do streamline, I do declutter at least yearly, but I haven't in the last 2 years, and I really feel like things are getting out of hand. And so I cannot wait until our new flooring gets installed and our house is really decluttered and it feels kind of like a clear house. You know that feeling when you go into a hotel where it feels really sterile and then there's one step away from where there's nothing in there that's personal to you see all of those homes in like Architectural Digest or other places where it's really still very streamlined but has personal touches. I want my house is never going to be exactly like that, but I want it to be more like that so that it doesn't actually ever feel like there's too much. And I already have too many picture frames and knickknacks, and I need to just start getting rid of stuff. I totally forgot to set my under eye, but I see that it's not really crinkling. It's not settling into the little gaps. It's been a while too. I'm impressed with that. Thank you, Glossier Stretch Concealer. I'm just gonna use a little bit of the e.l.f. Halo Setting Powder and use this to set my under eye just for total longevity. I do see that my makeup is getting eaten away here in my left corner where my eye is perpetually watering. And it eats away whatever there is, but maybe we can slow that with a little bit of powder. I don't know if you watched any of the Get Ready's with me in the last month, but I mentioned that my husband had surgery, and then we've been going to the ER and to urgent care. He finally got in to see his primary care doctor, and it turns out that he's not having any problems since his surgery, any complications. The symptoms he was having are basically symptoms of not being on the right dosage of thyroid replacement hormone. He had his entire thyroid removed, which means now he needs to take medicine to replace that. And so they're doing more labs, and hopefully they will get him on his appropriate dose. But I think that because he's been having labs drawn here and labs drawn there and labs drawn here, if you get them done at the same lab, then you can get kind of like a baseline, but every lab has slightly different levels of what's within normal range. And if you're getting them at different places, it all can look normal, but that thyroid replacement hormone is such a small but major part of our body that if it's even slightly off, it can really affect the way you feel. And so his comment was, I don't think I felt this strange in my body since puberty. And I was like, oh, I remember that feeling of like, wait, is this really my body? What's going on? Like that feeling of this isn't me. He says that's how he'd been feeling. So he is glad to know what it is. Early this week, he's going to go and get more labs drawn and then see if his prescribing physician can adjust his dosage. And we knew that was going to have to happen. I just didn't think it was going to affect him so severely right off the bat. Within 2 weeks of having surgery, he was like, I don't feel good. And the weird thing was, the types of symptoms he was having was exactly what they said to watch for if he was hypocalcemic or not having enough calcium in his body from having nicked the parathyroid, which is right behind. So thyroid's here, parathyroid's right behind it, and if you nick it during surgery, then everything goes out of whack. Anyway, he's fine. They figured out what it was, and I am so grateful. The hardest part of having him home is not like rushing in there, hey, I'm going to get some coffee, you want some? Or going, oh my goodness, can you believe what the kids just did? Because I know he's there, and I've had to tell my children. It's as if Daddy's not home, because they haven't started school yet for the year. I'm like, it's as if he's not here, as if he's still over at his office. These doors are like invisible doors. This room does not exist until Daddy's done for the day. my oldest daughter, who plays the piano and is a lovely pianist, she was practicing one day during one of my husband's Zoom meetings, and all of his coworkers were like, "Oh, who's your pianist? It sounds so nice." And he happened to mention that to her, thinking it would be a compliment. She was like, "Ah, they could hear me? Oh my goodness." And now she won't play until like after he's done for the day at 5:30. I told her, "You can't start practicing at 5:30. That's when we sit down and have dinner." And I said, "You know, why don't you just wait until like after 3, because my husband, most of the people he is working with are East Coast. They're all off of their meetings, and he won't be on any phone calls. It'll just be him doing, you know, like office work." And I'm like, "Just, you know, Dad will be responding to emails." Boy, I'll have to fix that in a minute. I said, "Just wait until after 3. And she's like, "Really? You won't be on the phone call with anybody?" I said, "Well, he might be on a phone call with somebody, you know, Mountain Time or Pacific Time, or maybe even out in Hawaii." I said, "But it's less likely for that to happen." I said, "Most people he's working with are on the East Coast." I'm desperately trying to use this Brow Wiz up. The spoolie broke off the end of it. I don't think I have that much left, but I hate it when products don't work well, when packaging fails halfway through the life of the product. That's my least favorite thing. I'm going to use some shades in here. This is a palette that I'm working on building. These are all Sydney Grace shadows. I have another established Sydney Grace eyeshadow palette here of singles that I love, 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 but I really haven't used any of the ones that I got recently on the eye. This medium brown right here is called San Diego. My family and I are looking forward to getting together with some friends for a getaway. And we're gonna spend a week at home quarantining, as are all the other families, so that when we get together, we all know that we're healthy and we don't have to worry about anything. But it's the first time we'll have done anything like this in 2 years. I think the last time we were supposed to go together to the lake house was September of 2019, and all my friends went, and my husband and I and our family didn't go because that's when I had like a gallbladder attack, and they're like, "You need to have surgery." And I was like, "I don't want to be out, you know, in the mountains at the lake in this beautiful setting and be in pain and have to leave and come home for like emergency surgery. So let's just stay," because it was like 4 days away from my surgery, like the time we were supposed to be at the lake house. And I was like, we'll wait. And so I haven't seen like this whole group of friends together and our kids since late summer 2019. And I'm so looking forward to it. My kids are ecstatic, but they're not ecstatic about the whole idea of being home and not doing anything. I'm gonna go into this shade here. This is a new one for this year from Sydney Grace. This one's called Blondie. And I'm gonna do a real easy 2 shadow look today. I like this shade because it is really metallic, and it applies well with the finger, but it also applies well with the brush, and it has a slightly cooler lean to it. It's not like really warm and golden. On days that I don't wear a ton of makeup and I have a really light eye look going on, I usually skip liner, so I think that's what I'm gonna do today. I happened to pick up a couple of lipsticks during National Lipstick Day. These are both YSL Rouge Volupte Shine lipsticks. I got another one of my favorite. This is the shade number 45, which is Rouge Tuxedo, because the one that I have, like, that's all there is left. And I'm like, I don't want to be without. And they were doing a special where if you buy one, you can get another one for free. And I was like, okay. So I did get a brand new Rouge Tuxedo. Love. The other thing that's really cool is they let me engrave it, and I have them both engraved with the Lipstick Gal. And that was completely free. And I was like, yeah. The other shade I got is shade number 124. This is Rouge LouLou. And I think this is what I want to wear today. I've never tried this shade. I do have several other shades in this formula, and I like this lipstick a lot, but oh, beautiful. There we go. Super easy, no fuss makeup. A little chatty today because, well, aren't I always? But I want to know what kind of is your go-to look when you have to be done in a flash and you don't have a lot of time. This is kind of like my default, you know, a little contour in the crease, a little shimmer on the lid, some light mascara, and you know, cream products. That's kind of like my favorite look, and I feel like it's really flattering for me. And then a sheer but hydrating lipstick. Let me know what your go-to is, and if you have a favorite product that you reach for when you know you need to do it quickly and it needs to not fail. Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I will see you again soon.